Hey, Mark Shepard, honesthypnosis.com, and I'm here with my dad, the geezer man, Lewis M. Shepard. And say hi to the people at home, Dad.
Hi, everybody.
And I want to talk to my dad this morning about his story of how he basically transformed his life. There was a point, I remember as a kid, every Saturday morning we would come downstairs from our bedrooms and there would be tons of glasses with little bits of wine and little bits of beer from, some gatherings that you'd had. You guys never drank crazily, but you were drinking. I remember you used to smoke.
Yep.
You used to be heavier than you are now.
Right.
And there was a point in your life, I don't remember when it was, whether it was the late 60s or the early 70s, when you had an ulcer. And you started reading about your health, and you started reading books by this crazy lady, Adele Davis.
Yes, right, yeah.
Tell me the real story. That's what I remember. What got you started on taking charge of your own change, your own health, your own life, and doing something about it?
Well, I don't know exactly when it started, but my oldest sister introduced me to Adele Davis, and I started reading her books, and I really got excited about the stuff that I was learning about food and that sort of thing. And at the same time, I think I was probably trying to quit smoking. I did that several times.
Right. Many people stop.
And eventually, I got to the point where I realized that if I didn't take care of myself, and I'm the only one that can, I would be a basket case before my time, and I didn't want that to happen. So I started working on the food that I ate, and one of the things that I learned was this actually came from Prevention Magazine, and there was a Dr. Rince came up with a kind of a formula for breakfast food that he claimed, that is, Dr. Rince claimed that cured him from heart disease.
Huh.
And so I started making that kind of cereal, and I've been working on it ever since. And one of the things that it contained was raw wheat germ, but and it also had a lot of fiber and that sort of thing. And I've been tweaking this formula for quite a long time. And the last thing that I've added to it is a lot of spices, especially turmeric,
Right.
and which is kind of proving to be a very, very healthy kind of a supplement that you can take, and people around the world that use a lot of foods containing that live a healthier life. So
interesting.
we
Cool.
have to take advantage of that kind of information.
Cool. So at some point you were eating pretty much all kinds of food, junk food or whatever.
Yeah, right, yeah.
And then what was the process for you of beginning to clean up your diet? I mean, I remember you guys went on the Atkins diet for a while.
Yes, we did. Yeah.
And Atkins was, he had a lot of stuff right, but some of the stuff not quite, as, we kind of learned. Mm-hmm. And there are some people that have disparaged his diet, but you started changing the way you ate. And I remember that. And I remember, I was still eating crap. Mom was still eating crap.
Yep.
And yet you were like, no, I'm not going to eat that. What was it in your mind? What I'm at is not so much what you did, but how you in your mind said no to the foods that you knew were no longer healthy for you.
Well, that was a long process, actually, and
that's a point
and
I want to
that,
make right there.
Yeah.
A long process. It
Long
didn't happen
process. It didn't happen
on a Sunday night, and then Monday morning he suddenly started eating well.
No.
And there was a time we used to make bread.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And we now know that wheat, even quote unquote healthy whole wheat, is probably one of the worst things you can eat for your body. It's inflammatory, and it is high in carbs.
Yeah.
And there's been lots of links from the whole wheat thing, the wheat allergies, the wheat addiction, to linked with Alzheimer's and lots of other things. So there's a process, and what I want to do is to make sure that the people watching this get, as the Honest Hypnotist, people want, oh, wave that magic wand and suddenly I will eat healthy. No, it's a process, and personally, I have cleaned up my diet in little steps, little Kaizen steps over the years, to the point where I'm pretty much following a lot of your recommendations. I'm not eating that crazy cereal every day that you make. No. But when I visit you, I eat it.
Yeah,
and it takes me a couple of weeks to recover. But it's an intense cereal.
Yeah,
But I'm more on the paleo kind of a path. And when years ago someone suggested I stop eating grains, I was like, "What do you mean? Healthy whole grains? They're good for me."
Yeah.
But the minute, literally within less than 7 days, I had about 50% more energy. I didn't feel like I was dragging a bunch of chains behind me attached to bowling balls, which is what I felt like.
Yeah.
And you've made that switch also. I mean, what was it in your mind that you did, other than little bits at a time? I kind of interrupted you. You started.
That's a tough question, and I can't come up with a really immediate answer. But one of the things that I got onto was supplements, okay? And because, and that was part of some search that I did to figure out why I got sick when I was 10.
Right, and just so you know the backstory, my dad is an above-the-knee amputee, and he got a blood infection when he was 10, and his leg was amputated when you were
18.
When you were 18.
Yeah.
And so for me, one of the things I use Dad's story for is to tell people, hey, listen, if my dad hadn't been sick when he was between 10 and 18, he wouldn't have so much of an interest in health.
Right.
And it's interesting, out of how many siblings did you have?
There were 8 of us.
There are 8.
Yeah.
And you were the sickest one.
Yeah, right, yeah.
And you're now pretty much the... How many are left?
I only have a younger sister left.
Younger sister left, right? So you've outlived your entire family, and you were the sick one.
Yeah, I was the sick one.
The whole...
And I think I'm the healthiest one that ever was.
Right.
Yeah,
why?
right.
Because you couldn't take your health for granted. Most people take their health for granted when they're young, and they get in the habit of not even thinking about it, doing whatever they want to do because their body just responds. But you didn't have that luxury.
No.
And so that's one of the things, that's a key point that I want you to pay attention to, because a lot of times we feel sorry for ourselves because we have these problems, but quite often the problem itself contains the solution for something far beyond. It brings a gift far beyond what we can often consciously be aware of at the time. So one of the things I've tried to train myself to do is anything that seems bad, I literally go, why does this work out better than I could possibly imagine? I don't know. It might actually be a gift. And that's a massive thought shift for most people. Most people go, oh, well, they feel sorry for themselves. They talk a big self-pity talk. And you didn't go there. You may have from time to time. We all do.
Right.
But what was it that, you had this ulcer and you decided, I'm going to do something. I'm not going to just give myself to doctors and hope for the best. I'm going to take charge of my change. That, to me, watching you do that as a little kid, I think that had one of the most profound influences on me now. And the fact that you're 88 years old You swim.
Yes.
You do resistance training.
Right.
You eat fermented vegetables.
Right.
You pretty much have gotten off the grains.
Right.
Although if you're at someone's house, you can be polite. You have
Right.
whatever they're serving, and it's no big deal.
No.
But you go right back to your
Right.
your path. You're part of an organic farm, a community supported agriculture.
Right.
You make your own yogurt.
Yeah.
You're co-investor in a cow,
Yes.
and we're going to talk about cows very soon in my hypnotize yourself to attract money, because there's a whole thread I'm working with there. But you have taken so many steps to take charge of your health.
I have. Yeah.
What advice can you give? Because we gotta end this, because
Yes.
So I can talk for hours, and
I know you can.
I know you can. And what advice can you give to someone watching this? What's one thing they can do today? What's a takeaway? What's a tip? What's an idea that they can kind of think about today? What's the one thing we can leave people with from your life experience that if you could pass that on to another person, what would that be?
Well, you have to pay attention to what you put in your body, and make sure that it's real food and not come from some stupid packaging. And you need to exercise, and you need to get some sunlight and get good sleep. So you concentrate on sleep, the kind of food you eat, exercise. I think that pretty much sums it
Right.
up. Yep.
So that's his place, and my place is all of that starts with your mind. All of that
Right.
starts with you loving yourself enough to take exquisite care of this amazing animal called your body that
Right.
you have been entrusted with.
Yep.
And this body wants to take care of you. This
Right.
body wants to be healthy,
It wants to be healthy.
but you got to help it. You
Gotta
got
help
to
it.
kind of take a little leadership, and it doesn't have to mean sacrifice. You can start with one thing today.
Right.
One thing today. Drink more water. Take a
Right.
walk in the sunlight.
And make sure it's good water.
Filtered water or
Filtered water.
purified water.
Yep.
So those are just a couple of things, and I have put together a lot of what I've learned from my dad and from other sources that he's led me to in a course called It's Not Just About the Food. And there will be a link below this if you want to check that out. And pretty much I have a lot of stuff in there that step by step, easily. Exercise that takes 1 minute. So you don't have to worry about going to the gym. It's all right.
Right.
Food choices that are, every day I eat food and I go, this is a millionaire's lunch. I am rich. Look at this
Yeah.
food. It's healthy.
Yeah.
A lot of it I've grown in my garden, but you don't have to grow in your garden. There are other places you can get good food. So I want to wrap this up. I want to thank my dad, Louis Shepard. He's my hero, and he's come a long way. And even though
Got a way to go.
his focus is nutrition, but he's also changed his mind
Yes.
over the years quite a bit, and adapted and was open to new ideas, and didn't wait for somebody else to invite him. He learned on his own, right? He was motivated to find a better way, and I think that to me is the gift you've given me, and that hopefully I can pass on to you. This works. It works, and it all starts with the thoughts you think that lead to the actions you take that lead to the results you get in your life, in small steps or even giant leaps. Thank you so much, Mark Shepard, honesthypnosis.com.